When I was in the band, I started in 2000. Obviously, started when I was first in the band. Steven wasn't in the band at the time. Jizzy Pearl was singing from Love Hate, and then Steven came back, and so it was Warren DeMartini, Bobby Blotzer, Stephen Piercy, myself, and my buddy Robbie Crane. We did a show. God, where was it? I want to say we played at the House of Blues in LA. Their record label. It was a subsidiary of Roadrunner Records, and they came to see the band, and it was a sold-out show, and we had been touring forever, so the band was super tight. The guy from the record label came back and he goes, "Oh my God, that was so good. I want to sign the band. I want to do a new record with you guys." And I went home and I came to Nashville. All the rest of the guys lived in LA, and I came to Nashville and I thought about it, and I was like, okay, these guys cannot get through a rehearsal without wanting to kill each other. Now, the record label wants all of us to go to a house in like South Carolina for 3 months and write and record a record. The more I thought about it, the more I realized that I would probably have more fun shoving my hand up my ass and pulling my wisdom teeth out. I said, no, I don't want to do this.
Hello guys, my name is Natalia. I'm from Rock Make Channel, and here we are. So we have Leandro from Alma Hard. So John, welcome. Okay, and how are you?
I'm good. I'm just doing some interviews for my show on May 11th, and I did a few interviews today, and just kind of enjoying the day. It's a beautiful sunny day here in Nashville, Tennessee, and playing with my dogs. My wife is doing some gardening in the backyard. Life is good.
Yes.
Yes, it's been 14 years since your last time here in Brazil, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I was by myself, but I was there in 2017 or 18 with the Dead Daisies.
Oh yeah, with the Daisies. Oh, of course.
Yeah. So we were there
Yes.
with I think it was Richie Kotzen and the Dead
Oh.
Daisies. Yeah, we did São Paulo, Rio de Janeiro, we did Buenos Aires, and Santiago, Chile.
What can you expect for the songs? You're playing solo career, not with the Dead Daisies, because with the popularization of the internet, are many fans in Brazil that are familiar of all your projects, since the Scream, Angora, everybody knows all the entire career. What do you expect? What can we expect for the set list acoustical show?
A little bit of everything. I try to tell. So I don't know how long I'm playing yet. I haven't discussed that yet with Rodrigo. I know Robin McCauley's playing as well that night. So I don't know how long I'm playing, but I mean, if I have enough time, I usually sit down with the acoustic guitar, and it's kind of like maybe like a storyteller's thing, and I play a little bit of Union, some Scream, Motley. I do some Dead Daisy stuff, and then I tell like little funny stories, and it's really loose and very casual and intimate. So depending on how long I have to play, that'll dictate how long my stories are. But it's a little bit of everything.
You have a lot of stories to tell us. I think they will be great. Everybody wants to know all the histories they since the Angora until now.
Yeah. It's you know what? Honestly, my friend, I've been very, very blessed. I mean, if you think about, it's 2014. I've been playing music. God, this is really probably I've only had like one job in my life. So I'll be 65 years old in a week. And I've been playing music professionally since I was 17. So I'll let you do the math.
Yeah, it's a long time.
I'm very blessed. Even with some of these new songs that I release, I love going on like Spotify, and I look to see, they say your top countries that are playing your song, and Brazil's always in there. You know what I mean? São Paulo, Rio de Janeiro, quite a few places in South America, but Brazil has always been very, very supportive of everything that I've ever done. So I feel truly honored and blessed. Obrigado.
Oh, we thank you too.
Okay, I have a question about the gig that you have here in this year on May 11th. So, what do you think about this? There is a lot of artists there, like Chess Kane, Eric Martins. I don't know if this
Yes,
that's the
Martin.
name.
Yeah.
How to pronounce this, from Eclipse, and we have two, of course, you, and what else? And Robbie McCauley. Have you ever played with them before? What is your expectations about this festival here?
You know, it's funny. I was just telling my wife, because my wife is not real familiar with a lot of rock stuff, but she was asking me who Robin McCauley was, and I said, oh, he played with Michael Schenker, and it's funny. I remember, God, the night my son was born, I ran into Robin McCauley at the Rainbow in Los Angeles, and my mother was with me. She had come from Philadelphia to LA to help, while my wife was giving birth, and so she had the baby and she was tired and wanted to go to sleep. So I took my mom out to dinner, and we went to the Rainbow. And Robin came in, and I told him I had a baby boy, and we had a drink together, and so I've known Robin for, God, forever. So it's going to be good to see him. I haven't seen him in a while because I moved from Los Angeles in 2006, but I love the guy. He's got a great voice, and he's just a nice guy. So it's going to be really good to see some old friends that I haven't seen in a while as well. But the funny thing is, I was telling you the story of when my son was born, and Robin bought me a drink to congratulate me on being a dad. My son is now 36 years old. So that's how long I've known Robin McCauley.
Yes, I will ask you a question about your son. I think the Ian Corabi, yeah. I will ask you a question about him. Okay. Yeah, he's a musician, he's a drummer, yeah.
Yes, he plays with when I do shows. I haven't done any for, God, probably 4 or 5 years. But he also played drums with a band called Tantric. Right now he's in a band from Georgia called Rehab.
Yes.
And I just talked with him this morning for a few minutes. We talk almost every day, but he's doing well. He's does his tours with his bands, and then he comes home. He's got 2 beautiful identical twin daughters, and so he likes spending time at home with his kids, and he's really becoming quite interested in growing things like farming. Like he's growing vegetables and some other things that we won't talk about, but whatever. But he's really getting into like agriculture, growing things, and he's good at it. So he's a good boy.
Yes. Talking about him, he's played drums in your album from the Nashville Live from the MÖTLEY CRÜE '94. Yeah.
Yep.
It's amazing how he did his job with the drums. I confess that he got an amazing fidelity in the songs of MÖTLEY CRÜE. I think that your influence was great from him. Yeah.
No, you know what, Ian? It's funny. Many years ago, when I was in Motley, Tommy was actually the one that saw Ian and recognized that Ian could play drums. So when he was very little, Ian was watching a music video and he was playing like this with his hands. And Tommy said, I think he's a drummer, dude. Like, and I said, how do you know? He said, most drummers, kids, when they bang, it's the same. But Ian was going like this. He was playing like a drummer, like he was doing the hi-hat and Tommy saw this. So Tommy went to DW, his drum company, and he had them make Ian a miniature DW kit, but like his kit, but a miniature version. And so we set it up in my house. I had a room in the back. We set a stereo up, and I left and went on tour. And I came home maybe 2 months later, 3 months later, and my wife and I, we were separated at the time. She called me on the phone and she said, do you have a minute? Can you come over to the house? I want you to see something. So I said, okay. So I went over to the house and she took me to the back of the house where the drums were. And Ian was maybe 6 or 7 years old. And she put on Soundgarden CD, the song Spoon Man. And he played along with it like it was perfect. And then she put on, I think it was Vaseline by Stone Temple Pilots. And he played along with that. And so he kind of, I don't know how he figured it out, but he figured out what the bass drum was and the snare and the hi-hats and the fills. And he did it all by ear. Then we got him a few lessons with a guy named Burley Drummond from Ambrosia, the band Ambrosia. Taught him some drum stuff. But he's honestly, Ian's always kind of done his own thing. He just listens to music and he picks things up on his own. So when we did the Motley record, we were getting ready to tour, and Ian was having some issues. He lived in LA, and he was having some issues with drugs. And he asked if he could come and stay with me and my wife now. And so he came and we got him cleaned up and straightened out. And he just said, you know, I've always just wanted to be in a band with you. And I said, okay, well, hold on. So I went in the house and I got the Motley record. And I gave him the record. And I said, if you can play this like Tommy plays it, the gig is yours. And he said, okay. And he went home on his own and with headphones and just listened and just listened to every little tiny thing that Tommy did on that record. And he learned it perfectly. And that's the one thing on that Live 94 One Night in Nashville record. Everybody across the board, everybody says, the band sounds really good, but I can't believe your son played those parts exactly like Tommy, you know, but he did it on his own. So that's, you know, that's just him practicing and listening and just figuring it out. He did a great job.
Yes, when I listened to the first time, I think there was a bootleg from that time, from the 94. I think it's Tommy Lee playing, but it's not. It's your son. It's amazing. Yeah, real good.
And it was very cool to be able to stand on stage when we did those shows, I would introduce everybody in the band, and then I would go back at the very end. I would say to everybody, I would say, well, if you guys remember my video for Man in the Moon by The Scream, I said in the very beginning, there's a little kid that runs with a lawnmower in the beginning of the video. And then I would say, that was my son Ian then, and this is my son Ian now. And the whole place was like, just, So I had a little bit of a, in America, we say a proud dad moment. You know what I mean? It was good.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And still talking about the Nashville's live album from MÖTLEY CRÜE in '94, the cover art of the album, the cover art, it was created by a childhood of mine, Jean-Michel from the Red Pack Records.
Oh, okay.
It's my friend of mine from childhood.
Oh shit. Okay.
The word so small, yeah.
Well, he's really good because they called me and they said, "What do you want this record to be like? What do you want it to look like?" And most bands do like when they do a live record, they'll maybe record 10 shows or 15 shows, and then they listen and they go, okay, well, this was the best song from these 15 shows, that one, and so they pick the best songs over 2 weeks. Sorry, I've got a little bit of a cold from allergies, so you have to I apologize.
No problem.
But we only had one night to record that record. I could only afford to do it like one time. So we rehearsed. We set everything up. I paid this guy to come in. They mic'd up everything. They recorded everything. And I thought it sounded pretty good for one time, one night, one take.
Perfectly.
Boom. It was awesome.
There's any Pro Tools or not? It's a real life.
It was all recorded on Pro Tools. And then we gave it to Michael Wagner to mix for us. But because it was only one show, I was like, well, I don't know how this is going to turn out because it was only one show. It's kind of got a bootleg vibe to it. So when we were doing the album cover, Joe and your friend, we were emailing and calling on the phone. They said, what do you want this to look like? And I said, I really want this, because we only had the one night to record it. I really want to make this look like Aerosmith live bootleg.
Oh,
so yes. Like photos and
similar.
Yeah, it's just similar. Almost make it look like a bootleg record. And I think your friend, I think he did a great job.
Yes, he's a talented guy, but the art styles of him is different. In that album, he made totally different that he always did. I was amazed. I think that was amazing. It's a great album cover.
Yeah, it was funny because one of the things when we were talking, if you look at the original Aerosmith live bootleg on the vinyl, when you would open it up, it looked like someone took a coffee mug. And they had a sip and they set it on the record. There was like a coffee ring, you know what I mean?
Yes.
So that's what I was telling him. I go, yeah, take a drink on the artwork and take a sip of coffee and set the mug on it and let it, and they did everything I wanted them to do, and it came out great. So your friend did a great job.
Yes. Awesome. Thank you.
So I have to say something about your voice. Your voice has been intact throughout these years. That's for me, it's incredible. So I have to stress something about this. What is the secret to maintain this vocal quality?
Well, I sound like shit right now, but actually, to be honest with you, all through the bands that I've ever been in, whether it was the Scream or Mötley, I never overindulged in stupid shit. I was never really big into drugs and, like cocaine. And I just, I like having a few cocktails. I like some whiskey, always after the show, not before.
Oh,
Before the show, it's always tea. I do a little vocal warm up, and then I do my thing. After the show, when I'm done, a couple of whiskeys, and I'm good. When I'm home, I like having some whiskey. I'll maybe smoke a joint or something once in a while. But I think with a lot of these singers, you see as they get older, they start losing their voice, but only because of what they did 20 years ago and 25 years ago. I never did that. And to be honest with you, like I said earlier, I'm 65 years old. I don't sing now the way that I used to in the scream. So as you get older, it does change. So you just figure out different ways of doing things. You know what I mean? Some people down tune the guitars. But I don't. I leave everything in standard tuning. And but I try to take care of myself as much as possible. And as I said earlier, I don't drink before shows. I wait till after. Uh, you know, and I just try to take care of myself. And I always try to make sure I get as much sleep as possible on the road.
So
oh
you
yeah.
said something about the screen. We asked to our followers here to make questions for you.
Okay.
And most of the questions is about the band The Scream. So could you tell us about this time and if there is any music left over from The Scream that were used on subsequent albums?
No, there's no. I think there was a few songs that we didn't use, but to be honest with you, the Scream was a point in my life, I think, where everybody. It was a very special time because it was the first major record label that any of us had had. It was the first time that any of us had been on a tour bus together. It was the first time that any of us had traveled outside of America to play. So there's that old saying, you can make love to a million women. You always remember your first. So that was like the special, and to be honest with you, we've been offered, we've had multiple offers to put the band back together again and go out and do some shows. But none of us want to do it because unfortunately our drummer, Walt Woodward, he passed away maybe 8 or 10 years ago. And, so as great as the band was, I don't want to do it. It's not going to sound the same if we got another drummer. The chemistry isn't going to be the same. So we just said, we'll put that one to bed. Now, when I do solo shows, I'll play Man in the Moon or I'll play some of those songs like Outlaw or whatever. But I don't want to put the Scream back together. That was 1990, 91. It's done.
Yeah. And so let's skip to Rat. Yeah, I know that you had a participation with Rat 8 years, for 8 years, I think.
Yes.
And it was an incredible band. It's one of my favorite ones. So would they have always been in a conflict with each other in the band, the Rat band? So you almost recorded the album, but decided to leave before this conflict, or why?
Well, when I was in the band, I started in 2000, and we obviously started when I was first in the band. Steven wasn't in the band at the time. Jizzy Pearl was singing from Love 8. And then Steven came back, And so it was Warren DeMartini, Bobby Blotzer, Stephen Piercy, myself, and my buddy Robbie Crane. And we did a show. God, where was it? I want to say we played at the House of Blues in LA. And their record label, it was a subsidiary of Roadrunner Records. And they came to see the band. And it was a sold out show. And we had been touring forever. So the band was super tight. And the guy from the record label came back and he goes, "Oh my God, that was so good. I want to sign the band. I want to do a new record with you guys." And I went home and I came to Nashville. All the rest of the guys lived in LA. And I came to Nashville and I thought about it and I was like, okay, these guys cannot get through a rehearsal without wanting to kill each other. Now, the record label wants all of us to go to a house in like South Carolina for 3 months and write and record a record. And the more I thought about it, the more I realized that I would probably have more fun shoving my hand up my ass and pulling my wisdom teeth out. I said, no, I don't want to do this. Because, again, I love those guys to death, but they're very dysfunctional. And I just sat there and I went, again, they cannot get through a rehearsal without wanting to kill each other. I don't know how we're going to be in a house together for 3 months. I said, no, I'm out, tap out. See you later. Bye-bye. Hasta la vista. It's been awesome. See you later. Sayonara. And then Carlos Cavazo came in and took my place. And as it turned out, I wasn't wrong because I talked to all the guys during the recording process of that next record. And at one point or another, Warren would call me or Steven would call me or Robbie would call me. And they said, this was the worst experience of our life.
Oh,
it was miserable.
It's Infestation is a great album, yeah, but yeah. The members didn't help it.
That's the thing, you as the listener, you hear the record when it's done. You're not really seeing all of the arguments or the fighting or just whatever goes into making any record. You got to remember when the bands are doing the press or the interviews like we're doing right now, they're always on their best behavior. Do you know what I mean? So,
yeah.
But it was just, they were just fighting with each other and all this shit. And to be honest with you, I could give a shit less about money or whatever. Everybody thought I was crazy for leaving Rat right when they got offered a record deal. But I go, it's not about the money. It's about enjoying myself.
Yes.
I have fun. I just want to have a pleasurable experience. And that's with anything. I don't care what band it is. If I joined Led Zeppelin tomorrow and it wasn't fun, I'm going to say, Jimmy Page, I love you, but I'm out. See ya. I don't want to do this. So it was more about the dysfunction in the band and people getting along with each other than the money. So I just said, no, I'm out. I'll talk to you later.
Yes. And there's any song about Infestation that was composed of you that was turned with Warren or Stefan or not? It's totally new. There's nothing of you era that you composed in that album.
Yeah, well, there's a song on there. Now, if you remember, I did a solo record with Bobby Blotzer prior to that, which was also a miserable experience. And I think we wrote a song called, I think it was called Due Time on that record. And Bobby's record, I guess it didn't, you know, and I don't mean this to sound mean, but it didn't really sell that many records. So he took some of the songs from his solo record and suggested them for Rat. So then Steven liked one of the songs, and then he rewrote some lyrics or whatever, but they gave me a songwriting credit on the record anyway, because it was a song that I had written with Bobby for his solo album.
Oh.
Yeah.
Return to the Dead Daisies. In this year, they released the first volume of a compilation of the B-sides.
Yeah.
You released. What's this, a joint choice of all of you? Because I very interested in that idea, because the songs, there are a lot of songs that the Dead Daisies that was overshadowed with a lot of release that you did, and you think that could be another new album with the Dead Daisies after that volume 1 and 2?
I don't know. You know, to be honest with you, we did a you know, that record, they called it the best of the last 10 years. You know, I think it was just hey, it's, you know, we've been doing this now for 10 years, 10 year anniversary. Let's take some music. Obviously, you know, they had 3 singers. They had John Stevens, then me, then Glenn. Now I'm back again. But I think that record was already in the works when I came back. So we went out, we toured on it last year, and it was great. I can say, I'm very happy to say that we just finished up maybe a week ago a new Dead Daisies record. So our first single is coming out, I believe it's May 10th.
Cool.
So keep an eye open for that. It's called Light 'Em Up. And you know, so we're gonna put that record out, and we've got quite a few things. We've been very busy since last year. We toured. We've done a bunch of recording this year. We started in February. We did some recording in March, also in April, and we had a great time. It was good seeing the guys and being in the studio again with them. But I'm pretty excited about this new record we got coming out. And well, the first single, like I said, is coming in May. I think they're releasing the record in June.
For most people, I know, was the best MÖTLEY CRÜE albums. It's yours. Here in Brazil. For me, for my brother, for example, my brother is from my channel, Alma Hard too, but he didn't hear right now to the interview. But for him, is the best MÖTLEY CRÜE album. Is review. For me, Enati is one of the best albums.
The most albums from MÖTLEY.
Yes.
Obrigado.
Very good. I think that you guys in the MÖTLEY CRÜE are very inspired in that time. I want to know what's the process creative to do the record. Why does it sound so perfectly?
You know, to be honest with you, we took our time. You know, most bands have a schedule. They got to keep a schedule. And I think with us, I joined the band in 1992. And we immediately started writing. There was no pressure to have a record done by a certain time. You know what I mean? And then we did a bunch of demos. We were very slow and cautious about doing the demos. We took our time. And one of the things that they say is they wanted to take their time working with me because they didn't know, they wanted to make sure that I wasn't loco, you know what I mean? Like I wasn't crazy, lead singer disease, you know what I mean? So we took our time, we did the demos, and then we sent them to Bob Rock. He listened to them, and we set up time to go record. And then we packed everything and we went to Vancouver, Canada, and we lived there for 4 months or 5 months. And we just took all the songs and tore them apart again and then rebuilt. And, you know, really, really took our time with it. I'm very proud of the record. You know, but like, you know, I'm very blessed to have been a member of Mötley Crüe for, you know, a few years. I'm very proud of the record that I did with them. And I'm very grateful to the guys for the opportunity. And like I said, I'm proud of the music that we did together. And I hope people enjoy it. I know some people don't like the record. I know some love the record. You know, it's just, it is what it is. If you like it, enjoy it. If you don't listen to it. You know, it's okay.
I think that album was like wine. Even more, the time passed, getting better.
Yeah.
I think that's the record was released in the wrong time. I think.
Yeah.
You know, but that's the thing about the music industry that, you know, a lot of people look at talent being the most important thing, or, you know, the way you look is the most important thing, or whatever. But the one thing that everybody kind of overlooks is that there is a huge amount of luck involved. And so, especially after that, there's one lesson I learned doing that record. It doesn't matter how big the band is. It doesn't matter how much money they've got behind them. There's luck involved. And it was a weird time. That's when grunge was coming in, and a lot of 80s bands were like, nobody cares. You know what I mean? So now when I do things, I don't think about it anymore. I just, I think this is a cool riff. I think this is a great song. I record it, I mix it, master it, and I put it out there for people to enjoy. I stop worrying about, you know, how many records are sold, and, you know, where is it on the Billboard charts, and it doesn't matter, you know. So, you know, I always have a positive attitude about each song that I write. I won't release a song unless I think it's awesome. And then I just keep my fingers crossed, and I hope that the world, whoever that is, I hope it, you know, I hope the luck, you know, makes it spread, you know, and become successful. But it was a weird time then, and unfortunately, it's an even weirder time now with streaming. Nobody's selling any records. So now I don't even worry about it. I just, you know, but the beauty is now I can be as creative as I want to be. There's no rules. You know, if I want to write a ballad, I can write a ballad. If I want to write a country song, I can write a country song. If I want to write a heavy rock song, I can do that. So I just write. I have a home studio here at my house, and I record my music, and I give it to my buddy Marty Fredrickson to mix for me. And then I put it on Spotify and YouTube and whatever. And, you know, I keep my fingers crossed.
And you keep in touch with the Mötley guys? Or?
No, I only really talk to Vince and Mick. You know, the rest of the guys, you know, and it's okay. Like, for some weird reason, Nikki's got an issue with me, and it's okay. I don't worry. I honestly, the only person I worry about is me. Like, yes. I just do my thing. I try to smile. I try to enjoy the day. I try to keep writing good music. I record it myself. I don't worry about anybody else. I have a beautiful family, beautiful home, and I'm still able to go to places like Brazil, play an acoustic show. I'm still doing records with the Dead Daisies. Life is good, man. You know, so
Yeah.
I don't worry about if Nikki likes me, doesn't like me, if Tommy likes me, doesn't like, I don't care. Doesn't matter. So when I see Vince, he's awesome. Excuse me.
Yeah.
When I see Mick, he's giving me a hug. He's like, "Hey, buddy, how are you?" And that's good. Life is good.
Yes.
Allergies. Oh,
You already talking about the Mick. Everybody wants to know about the songs "Give Blood" and "Shake the Cage." Where's the song is?
you know, to be honest with you, Mick asked me to sing those two songs. Bandit, quiet. My dog barking. Mick, I came home for Christmas after a Dead Daisies tour, and Mick was actually taking a break on the first final tour that Motley was doing. And he just asked me to sing those two songs. He had already written them with Tommy Hendrickson from Alice Cooper and Hollywood Vampires. So he asked me to sing them, and I sang them, and he put little snippets out. We talked about doing some writing for his solo record, but unfortunately, my schedule with the Daisies and the commitments that I had, and then he was finishing up the Motley tour, we weren't really able to make it work. But I love Mick to death. I'm really pleased that he's got his new solo record out. I don't know if you like it. I do. I think it's great. So maybe in the future we could do some writing together, but I don't know why he didn't use those songs. And again, everybody's like, "Hey, what? You know, why didn't Mick use those songs?" I go, "It's not my solo record. It's Mick's solo record. I don't know, but you know, we'll see. Maybe they'll come out in the future."
Yes, we're hoping. You cross fingers. So this record was released full album.
Yes.
Talking about the Union along with Bruce Kulick, it's one of the best albums for '98 too. It's a great album. For me, it's similar to what was did in the was making the Mötley Crüe '94. I think it's so similar. It follows the same lines. Do you believe that there's a lot of unfinished songs in that time in the Mötley that you use in the album to
No.
seek that similar sound?
No, first of all those songs from the Union record were all brand new. There was none of those had anything to do with Motley. But you know, the thing that was awesome about the Union record was that Bruce and I were going through the exact same thing at the same time. He had just lost the Kiss gig. I just lost the Motley gig. I was with a girl that, you know, we were supposed to get married, and then all of a sudden Motley's not there, and she decided she thought it was maybe needed some space. And Bruce had been married for a long time, and his wife did the same thing. So we were very similar. It was like looking in a mirror. And so we'd sit down and we would talk and, you know, about life and whatever. And then we started writing, and it just came out. And I think the Union records are just, it's like a diary entry. You know what I mean? Like you write something in your diary today, and a week from now you go back and you look at it, and maybe things are better, maybe they're worse. I don't know. But the Union stuff was like a diary entry of what was going on with Bruce and I right then and there, that time frame. So again, you know, it's weird. I've done, like, I didn't realize it until a couple days ago. My manager sent me a list of songs that I've written, you know, BMI, ASCAP, whatever, BMI. And she sent me this list, and I was like, holy shit. Like I've written like 153 or 163 songs, and half of them I forgot about. Like, I'm like, oh shit, I can't remember. That's right, I wrote that song. But it's weird. I think I'm very proud of all of the records I've done. I think the Scream record was awesome. I think the 2 or 3 records I did with MÖTLEY they were really cool. The Union records were great. I did my acoustic record. I did the Live 94 album. I've done 5 or 6 records with the Dead Daisies now. And even we were saying earlier, the Bobby Blotzer record and some of the different things that I've done. I'm very proud of everything that I've done. And I think my songwriting is getting better. And, at the end of the day, I think when I take my last breath, I just hope that everybody just goes, he was pretty good. He was a pretty good songwriter. You know what I mean? That's all I'm doing it for.
Yes.
For me, I just sit and I listen to things, and I watch a lot of documentaries on YouTube, and I'm just so in awe of people like Paul McCartney and Keith Richards and Jimmy Page and Robert Plant and David Bowie and just all these artists that were so just consistently good. They just did great music all the time. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And that's all I think I've ever wanted, was to be recognized as somebody that's been consistently good. I'm not going to please everybody. As much as I love David Bowie, there's some people that go, I didn't get it. There's some people that love Led Zeppelin. I'm one of them. And then there's other people that go, Or the other one to me is, some people like the Beatles, some people like the Stones. I like both. But, so you're not going to please everybody. Just do the best you can. Keep writing music. Sing the best vocal. Do the best artwork, like we were talking earlier, your friend. And then just, again, keep your fingers crossed. And at the end of the day, when I decide to say, I'm done, I'm retiring, I hope you enjoyed my career. I hope people like yourself will sit and listen to all the music and go, he was pretty good. That's all I've ever wanted.
Yeah. So at the beginning, I have a question about the Rise of Destruction. I think we didn't do this question. At the beginning of the Rise of Destruction, you were a part of for a small period. But enough to leave a record with your guitar and the composition I Got a Gun. How was the invitation?
Well, again, that's another one where everybody said, why did you leave the band, dude? Are you crazy? And I have to be honest with you, the entire time that I was in the band, I would ask Nikki and I would ask Tracy, I don't understand what we're doing here musically. And if you listen to the record, there's songs like Shut the Fuck Up, and there was a couple songs on the record that were very almost like metal punk. And then there was a song on the record that was called excuse me, 2 Times Dead, which sounded to me like something that would have been on the MÖTLEY record that I did with the band. And then you had some other songs, to me, this from song to song, those it wasn't, I can't explain it. because I like eclectic music. I like things that have different flavors in it. But I just felt like the influences were so drastically different. I didn't know what we were doing. So I was never really totally convinced or happy with the direction the band was going. But it wasn't my band. I was the last person to join. Nikki, Tracy, and London had started the band. So I just went to them and I said, look, I can't do this for the money, just for the money. I have to stand on stage and play this stuff. And I don't believe in it. So I'm going to go do something else, which was fine because I was still in Rat at the same time. But I just, again, I didn't want to do it to just do it and make money. You know what I mean? So I told them I didn't feel comfortable with it, and I just left the band. There was no bad blood. Nikki understood. He was like, all right, cool. I appreciate you being honest. And, you know, at the time, Tracy was fine with it. So it is what it is. It was fun in the beginning, but I didn't get it. And then there was another song on there. I think it was called Life. And everybody was like, oh, this guy London, he's a great singer. He's a great singer. He's a great singer. And I was like, well, yeah, but to me, the best song on the record was this song Life, and the drummer singing it, not the singer. You know what I mean? So I just didn't understand the concept. I didn't understand what was trying to be done. So instead of being a cancer, or instead of becoming a cancer in the band, I just said, I'm gonna get out. I don't understand what we're doing. So
Yes, I have more two questions. Then we finish. I want to stay here with John for 3 or 4 hours talking. There's a lot of good stories to talk this.
Yeah, I know, but I do have to take my wife to dinner at some point.
Oh, yes. Just complete what you're doing. I think that the Mötley Crüe guys loves your job. Each one loves your job. I think we know the problems that Mötley Crüe had with era. John Corabi is not Mötley Crüe. That's used to listen. But Vince Neil is your friend. Nick is your friend. Mick's your friend. But they know that you're a really good musician, great composer. It's a great artist. But what I really want to ask you is, there's any project that you really want to make that you didn't yet, or work with a musician or artists that you didn't?
I mean, there's, you know, it's unfortunate now because most of the artists that I would love to write with are, you know, they're all getting up there in age, and you know, they're starting to pass away. You know, you know, guys like David Bowie and whatever. But I mean, I would love at some point to, you know, just be able to sit down and write a song with Steven Tyler or Jimmy Page. Who else? Paul McCartney. I would love to write a song with Paul McCartney. And I just had the good fortune not that long ago to do a gig with Mark Farner from Grand Funk Railroad.
Great.
And he's such an amazing man. You know what I mean?
He's a gentleman.
Yeah,
Winter here. He's a gentleman.
He's a great guy. Believes in what he believes in. And, you know, but you go and you listen to his body of work. And I grew up on Grand Funk Railroad. I love them every bit as much as bands like Led Zeppelin and whatever. But I just did this show with him, and I did my acoustic set, and then his band was going on after me. And I said to the audience, I'm going to come out there, but like you guys, I can't wait to see this next man. Like, so let's give him respect. And please, if I come out, I don't want to do any photos or sign anything. I just want everybody to watch Mark Farner. And so I packed my stuff up, I put it all away, and I ran out to the front, and he started singing, foot stomping music and just all these old, and I go, it's insane. He still sounds like he did in 1970. And yeah, he's 8-10 years older than I am, and he still sings like a bird. So I would love to sit down and write something with him, just like a cool rock riff, and just do some sort of old cool Grand Funk type song. But I mean, I have a huge list of people that I would love to write with. You know what I mean? Keith Richards. I would love to write with. I'm having a brain fart now. There's so many artists, it's ridiculous. But and even if nobody heard them, I could just sit there and say I wrote a song with Jimmy Page, just record it in my house, finish it, mix it, and put it out on Spotify, whatever, just to say I wrote a song with Jimmy Page. That would be awesome.
Yeah. We can say that your influences was Jimmy Page, Keith Richards, Steven Tyler, and Mark Farner, or still there's more.
And the Beatles.
And the Beatles, yeah. Paul McCartney, yeah.
Yes.
Well, let me take the John goes to dinner. The last question, the final question. We would like to spend hours and hours talking with you, but we need to ask the last question. It's simple. Né? We want to know what's the three best albums of a lifetime for you that you really like and listen, blow up your mind when you were young.
Wow. 3 best records.
Could be 4 or 5.
Okay. I will say Abbey Road. I love that record. It's amazing. I will say it's a toss-up between Led Zeppelin 4 or Led Zeppelin Physical Graffiti. Both of those are great albums.
Yes.
I will say Grand Funk, Caught in the Act. It's a live record. It's amazing.
Yes.
I love David Bowie, Rise and Fall of Ziggy Stardust and the Spiders from Mars. And what else? Aerosmith rocks.
Oh, God.
Aerosmith rocks. Let me see. Am I forgetting anybody? Zeppelin, the Beatles, David Bowie, Grand Funk. Oh, and then Queen and Night at the Opera.
Oh, great album.
Yeah, those records, like I still listen to. Like to me, I had the good fortune when I was growing up. I saw Queen 5 times with Freddie, and it was just like what am I seeing right now? And to this day, I still listen to Bohemian Rhapsody, and I just sit there and I go, who thinks of this shit? You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's a fucking masterpiece. It'll never be done again. And that's the unfortunate thing I think about music nowadays. Everybody asks me, what was your favorite era of music? Was it the 80s? Was it the 90s? No. My favorite time for music was I think it was maybe 1965, was when the Beatles did Rubber Soul. All the way through the rest of the 60s and the 70s to about 1980. That was the 15 greatest years of music and it'll never, ever happen again. And, you know, I just was talking to my manager a few days ago about that. And he said, why do you think that? And I said, well, the main thing is there was so much different shit going on. You had bands like Led Zeppelin, Aerosmith. You still had the Stones. You had the Beatles. You had Hendrix, this groundbreaking guitar player. And you had bands like, but then you had bands like Yes and Jethro Tull. And then this Southern music started happening, like the Allman Brothers and Leonard Skinner. And, you know, so it wasn't unusual for me as a kid to go to my concert hall and see Grand Funk Railroad on Wednesday. And then Thursday you would go see like Joan Baez or Joni Mitchell or Cat Stevens. And then the next day you would go see Yes, and then go see Leonard Skinner, and then go see Foghat, and then Queen. And there was just all of this stuff happening, and nobody put it into, like, you know, now there's 80s rock, then there's grunge, then there's pop rock, then there's this rock. And back then you didn't have categories. You just liked music. And, you know, so my record collection, you know, I had bands like, I had Deep Purple, Machine Head, but I also had bands like Chicago. I had Cat Stevens. I had bands like Three Dog Night. You know, I had Black Sabbath. I had all these different records in my collection, and I listened to it all. And people don't do that anymore. They just listen to 80s music or 90s music or punk or whatever, you know what I mean? So,
Yes.
you know, it's kind of discouraging. So I think, to me, I go back and I listen to all the great bands from the, you know, mid 60s to 1980. Not that the bands after 1980 were bad, but everything started to become like a formula, like a recipe. Here's the recipe for a great record. 10 songs that all sound like this, and, you know,
Have to be a ballad.
yeah.
A video
So that's
clip.
why when I listen to records like, you know, Zeppelin 4 or Physical Graffiti, and you hear things like, you know, you'll hear, well, like, say Zeppelin 4, you hear Black Dog, then Rock and Roll, and then the Battle of Evermore, which is a completely different style of music.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And then they come back and they give you like Stairway to Heaven, this masterpiece of acoustic, heavy, and then, you know, and then the blues at the very end when the levee breaks. So
Psychedelic things too. Yeah.
yeah, it was, and the same with Queen. You listen to Queen and you have Death on Two Legs and I'm in Love with My Car, and, you know, just all these different things. And then Bohemian Rhapsody, and you're like, they were just drawing from everywhere. And I love the fact that in that time frame that I'm talking about, like, it just seems like musicians were just way more creative and eclectic. You know what I mean? So
Yes.
I miss that. And, you know, that's why, again, this is a very long answer. I apologize.
Oh, it was great.
Problem.
The
You said something about the rock and roll not to be just focused in one and one time I have to just listen just the 80s, or I just listen 90s. But you have some artists or singers that you can say three names, okay? Just not to be so complicated, so hard. It's a question, I know. But you can mention three singers out of the rock and roll that you like, that you used to listen.
Can I name three singers?
Yes, you can say three, or if you want to say more than three, no problems.
No. Because you know what? You know what's funny? One of the first things that I did as a kid when I started playing music, my parents took me at a very, very young age to go see Frank Sinatra. So I was maybe 15 or 16 years old. And I have to say, you know, it was crazy to watch this man walk on stage and command people with his voice and the wave of a hand. Do you know what I mean? I love one of my favorite singers. He was great. But one of my other favorite singers and an amazing guitar player was a gentleman named Glenn Campbell. Country guy. Go back and listen to his stuff. He sang that song Rhinestone Cowboy. But like, I listen to his songs and his voice is just magnificent. The guy could sing a phone book and it would sound awesome. If you get a chance, when you get off of this interview, look online for a song by Glenn Campbell. It's a long title, but it's Glenn Campbell, The Dreams of the Everyday Housewife. And it's beautiful. It's amazing. And then I went and saw, when I was also a young kid, I went and saw Liza Minnelli. I love Barbra Streisand. I think her voice is amazing. I could go on and on and on. I just love, music that moves me. My wife and I just sat and watched this awesome documentary of Barbra Streisand and her singing, and it's just like, she's amazing. You know what I mean? Pavarotti, opera singer. What was his name? Mario Lanza. He was another older opera singer. So it's just learning to appreciate everything. And not that I'll ever sound like Pavarotti or Liza Minnelli or any of them, but I just watch them and I look at how they do things and how they maybe present a song on stage, and I go, oh, that was kind of cool. I like that little thing she said before she did the song, whatever. So I can appreciate anything. A good song's a good song, man.
Yes,
Yes, a lot. Thank you so much, John, for this interview. You are very kind of us. I felt like a close friend with you. I hope to see you the day of the show and give you a hug or
yes. And when we get down there, unfortunately I don't have a lot of time because I have to come back to the States. So I'm literally coming the day before the show. I play the show, and then the following morning I have to fly home. But I'm hoping that I can go to a restaurant where they slice the meat at the table.
Oh yeah.
And
yes.
and what's the drink?
Yeah.
Caipirinha.
Yes, I went to the thing where they slice the meat, and then we had a couple of those, and then I will be a happy man on my way home to America.
Oh, will be great. There's a lot of them, and eat a barbecue. You'll be great.
Yes.
Yes. So I have to say thank you for joining us today, for accepting the invitation to join us today. I hope you like it. So I have to say I'm sorry for my cell phone here, my problems with my cats here today.
It's all
but
good. And
I love it to talk with you. It's a big pleasure because I'm a big fan of you. And as I said before, I started to listen to MÖTLEY CRÜE because the album of 1984. This album for me is spectacular for me. It's one of my favorite ones. So I just have to say thank you.
Thank you. And I hope I'll get to say hello to you guys when I get down there.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
So is this.
So that's it.
Yes.
Okay,
Thank
so
you.
one more time, obrigado.
Yes.
Bye bye. Bye bye.
So
Bye
bye
bye.
bye.
See you there.
I
See
hope
you
so.
then.